Welcome, everybody. This is another session of Conscious Gatherers. And with me, we have Royse and Beverly and myself, Terry Palma. So we are here again to enlighten us, included, enlighten you, to share the knowledge that we have gained together. And if you ever have any questions, please, at the end, feel free to bring them up. Beverly, Royse, are you with me?
Yes.
Yes, and welcome, everybody, to our episode 20.
Do you have a name for this one yet, or do you do it afterwards, Bev?
Sometimes before, sometimes after. Depends where our conversation goes. But where I wanted to start off is where we ended on our last episode. And that was how we feel, or how our bodies feel with the changes of the earth. And so I was calling this episode Our Symbiotic Relationship with Earth. Let me start at that point. And I thought it'd be a great place to start since we already mentioned that we were going to do this, and I think it's important right now because people are feeling things. People are feeling what I have, or many people have referred to as ascension symptoms. And they may feel a little bit dizzy, they may be hungry, they may be overly tired, or they may be full of energy, all kinds of different symptoms. And one of the symptoms that I know Royse and I have felt is the top of our body, our head, and maybe the top of our bodice gets warm. And it only lasts like a hot flash, and it has nothing to do with hot flashes, but it somewhat feels like that. And I think it happens in male and females. Does not matter if you have more estrogen in your body or not. And I'll feel, and I've been calling it a wine head.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of times I'll feel like I've had something to drink, like wine, and I haven't had any wine. So this has been going on for, 2 or 3 months maybe? And so I've been...
and that wavy feeling feels like you're almost like, am I going to pass out? You know, it's like waves of energy. You can feel it.
Yes. Yeah, and sometimes you just need to sit and be quiet with it. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I'll feel it when I'm driving, but I do okay when I'm driving, even with my so-called wine heads. It's something that I made up, so whatever. Terry, do you have anything to say on that?
Well, I haven't been drinking for about 3 years, so I can't get into that one. I don't even when I'm meditating or stuff, I don't get that way, but maybe we have the name of this episode.
Wineheads. Probably not. But,
yeah, winehead without wine.
There you go. Oh, shoot. Well, I would like to also get into talking about feeling earthquakes. And I know, Royse, that you felt earthquakes, and can you explain what you felt in your body when you feel that something's going on with the earth?
Yeah, most of the time it will be a vibration that I feel, especially if my feet are on the floor, but it'll come up usually to my knees. And I have felt it when I was laying down on the bed, and it would feel like my whole body was vibrating. But most of the time, it's a vibration that comes up from the floor through my feet and up to my knees.
Well, to me, it's very interesting because I know a lot of people do feel what you want to call earth changes or energy changes or energy fluctuations, all of that. And I know many times we don't know exactly what that is, but maybe in earthquakes you do because you feel it in your legs. And I know Donna Anderson, who's been with us the last 2 episodes, and not with us tonight, she feels earthquakes in her lower back. Her lower back will start hurting. And,
yeah, I believe that's if it's like in South America, is it that she mentioned?
Yes.
Yes, when she feels
in South
it in
America
her back.
or Central America. So she knows exactly where they're at. So I've been watching the earthquake maps, and they do continue. Some down in the Mexican area. Also, I noticed there's some earthquakes down near Puerto Rico. A little bit smaller ones, but they're ongoing. You can find the earthquake map by going on the computer, and you can see all the earthquakes that happened in the last hour and then the last day. So it's been continuous, especially along the the Ring of Fire.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, one thing I noticed, I'm going to bring this up, and that is in one of my recent visions, I could see the axis of the Earth, and I could see coming out of the axis. This would be in the southern part of our planet. I don't know what to call these, but it kind of looks like webs or lines, almost like when you look at lightning. But it's like coming from the center of the Earth and out to the outer part of the surface of the Earth down in Antarctica. And so what I got from this vision that the reason Antarctica is melting is because the Earth is heating up. So I feel it's not necessarily what we have done to the Earth on the surface level. A lot of people are very afraid of climate change. Yes, we have that symbiotic relationship with Earth, so the Earth does reflect what we as humans are feeling. So it's that relationship. So, but Earth also says that's enough, and I need to expel my gases or whatever it may be, and it may come out as a volcano or an earthquake. And the vision I had was a little bit different, so I don't know if anybody else that's listening to our podcast has had any similar visions. But I thought I'd share that with you because I felt it was interesting and important to understand that the Earth is going through her processes, and it's not for us to stop those processes.
Yes, and I think also whatever is going on with us can greatly affect what is happening with the Earth. It's no surprise to me that when humanity is going through times of so-called crisis, that the Earth starts rocking and rolling. Because we are not just on her, but we are a part of her, and she's a part of us. And we're all in this great big universe together.
Yes, thank you. Terry, you had mentioned the other day we will sit down and meditate every other Tuesday, the day we're not doing the podcast, and I write down little notes that we had talked about. And one thing that you had mentioned is our relationship with other celestial bodies. And I know you're a master in astrology, so do you want to just talk a little bit about astrology?
Well, rather than that, I would rather that we're all related and we interact with each other. It's through consciousness and focus of consciousness that we interact with each other, with anyone, with any created creature. It's through what we would call coherent waves, coherent focusing energies. Let's use the example of a laser beam and a light bulb. They're dealing with the same basic energy, but it's the way that it's being used. A laser beam is what's called microchromatic. It's directional and coherent, which means it's in phase. Everything is in phase. It's all focused. It's down to one thing, and it's coming out. Whereas a light bulb is all the waves incoherently being expressed through the bulb. So there's no focus there. There's no bringing everything into that coherency and focus. So if you remember back, and even now, remember when we just had the telephone. It was a remarkable thing, but we were able to transmit through wires, a voice to another voice. And then we had fax. You could take an object, take a basic picture of it, and sound, and you get a picture on the other end. Well, now you've got cell phones, and we're communicating through cell phones. We can communicate with each other through consciousness. We can travel through consciousness if we stay focused and stay coherent. You've got to bring all of the attention into one, as they say in laser, microchromatic in-phase cycle. And that's how we communicated with the universe. In fact, that's how we could communicate with ETs or anybody with your higher self, is being able to stay focused, get rid of all of the noise, all of the junk that's out there, all of what we're thinking about in the physical world. We think we have to communicate because we're physical and through our voice or whatever. That's not how we're going to be able to travel to the outer universes, to the outer stars, because the physical vehicles we have now or will be building will not be fast enough. The only way we can travel to those distances in someone's lifetime and be there is through conscious travel. The only way. And that will happen. That's the next evolution of where we're going, is conscious travel. And that's how the ETs travel now. They travel through consciousness. And they can manifest and not manifest. They can be here or not be here. And, the communications that Bev and Royse get through, that's because they're focused and they're in tune. They're in phase with the non-physical entity that they're communicating with. And we all have that capability. But if we don't meditate and focus and learn that skill, which we all have to some degree or not. Some right now are more developed than others, but we all can do it. And just remember the difference, and look it up on the computer, the difference of laser and light bulb is simply how they're in phase. Are they coherent? Are they all focused on one thing? Or are they incoherent and splattered and seeing the whole spectrum of light through a light bulb? Very simple difference.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I was just thinking about, the difference between the laser and the light bulb when we're not focused, when we're functioning, our consciousness is just blah, out there like a light bulb. It's going everywhere, unfocused. I think that's probably when we are having an effect on the planet that is allowing the energy to be bouncing all over the place, adding to, like the earthquakes and the stuff of that nature. But if we're focused like a laser, then I think our consciousness is having possibly less of an effect, adding to earth movement, that sort of thing.
Well, you bring up a very good point. In the incoherent state, if we're allowing things to happen and not focusing our attention, we're allowing the collective consciousness to affect us, and we are part of that collective consciousness. Whereas if we go coherent, like the laser beam, like Amato did when he changed water, the actual crystals in water from muddied to pure, that was focused, coherent energy.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you. When we're focused, we can change what our experiences are and what the world's experiencing, because Amato's shown that just with water, and we can do it with anything physical, because the physical is not the ruler. It's the consciousness that is. The consciousness is the one thing we all have that is the one and the same from our Creator. That's what makes us as our Creator created us, is the consciousness that we have, not the physical body. That's just a vehicle we're using as a convenience to communicate and to learn while we're in 3D.
All right.
Excellent. Both of you, thank you. I would like to take that word focus even a little bit further. And as I was telling Terry and Royse before I came on, I wanted to talk about focus. And first I opened up one of my pull out one book and open it up, and what is the name of the chapter? Focus. So there's just a couple things that I wanted to bring forth in here that goes along with what we're talking about. It takes it maybe even a little different avenue, but it all works together. And one thing, as I was rereading this, is do you remember years ago when we did our vision boards? Any comment there? I did one. I remember put together, pictures of things I wanted to do in my life, things I wanted in my life, whatever it was. So I did a vision board, and then once I manifested that part of the vision, I took it off the board, and eventually my board was empty. It worked, and I think a lot of people still do that. So, but I haven't done one for a long, long time, obviously. So I did it once that I can remember. But one of the things that this writing says is that most humans use this word often so they can focus their thoughts, visions, and other senses into their intent. So in order for an intent to manifest itself in our reality, I'm going to say third to fourth dimension of our reality, we focus on what we want to accomplish, correct? So we can see with our inner eye, what that end result is. However, we have noticed, and I think all three of us have been talking about this, that many of our manifestations have taken turns or other ways to actually manifest, perhaps much different than the perceived way to get there. Now remember that one's there may be much different than another's there.
Yeah.
And so it makes what we're doing and even focusing, you're talking about especially incoherent focusing, it can take all kinds of turns because it's not, as you said, laser. But keep in mind that while we are focusing on something that we want to manifest in our life, there are many others that are part of the whole process. And that means on the planet and off the planet, billions of other beings. I mean, our planet's pretty popular right now because of what we're going through. But remember that our manifestations may come to us in unexpected ways. And that's because we're creating together, and together our desires are becoming more homogenized. Now, when I say homogenized, we all work together. So to truly manifest what you desire, let go of how a manifestation is to occur. So we used to, at least I have done that. I've tried to, wrote out my whole plan and exactly how that was going to happen. And, how well did that work? It was a lot of work. It doesn't necessarily, it happened the way I thought it was going to happen. So in other words, understand that everyone has their unique ability, and when we let those abilities and universal energies intermingle, the final result is usually the best for everyone. So keep in mind that it's you, but it's also everyone else. And so many of our focus, thoughts, visions, and senses and our intent may take different roads than what we expected.
Yes, but don't you find that even though the path may take dog legs here and there and everywhere, when the destination is reached, it's much more full. the experience is much more full than what we would have conjured up in thought, because it's been everybody else taking part in the experience, adding to it, adding that fullness. It becomes something so much more rich.
Well, one thing about that, Royse, you don't have the experience without the imagination creating it before. The experience follows the imagination which created the experience.
Yeah.
We're looking, backwards at it, thinking that it just happened. Whether it's conscious or unconscious, you're creating it through imagination. The way that we can focus, the easiest way to focus, is through imagination and faith. Imagine what you want. Have faith that it will manifest, maybe not right away, but that, and then the reality, the experience will happen. There's some really good sources to study on this. Neville Goddard, Nevillegoddard, he wrote some phenomenal books, and one of them is Imagination. And it's several lectures, a collection of lectures that he wrote on the power of imagination. I highly recommend people go and look him up on the internet. There are probably lectures on the internet that you can listen to. I'm sure you can order his books from Amazon. He's got a whole collection of books, but one is Imagination. I know he has another one on faith. He was one of the earlier authors that I studied when I was, becoming aware in consciousness and stuff, and he's still applicable today. Very, very applicable. So I highly recommend that.
Thank you. Well, you mentioned the word imagination numerous times, and I find myself still saying, "Did you see that, or was that just my imagination, or did I imagine that?" And yeah, I did. If we didn't imagine something, that's part of our vision, our intent, and that's what makes the world work, or our world work, in this physical reality. So, thank you both.
Absolutely.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions, or do we have somebody online that would like to ask a question?
I'm not sure if there's anybody online right now. It's usually we get visitors to our back to, now that all of these recordings are put up on our channel, which is Conscious Gatherers, on a YouTube channel called Conscious Gatherers, and they're all archived there. So you can go watch any of them again and again, make comments. So I would recommend that. If you're on Bev's email list, you'll get notification of when they're up and running. But I think this would be number 20. Is that correct, Bev?
This is number 20, correct. And yes, and thank you for suggesting that people make comments. You can comment right under each of the episodes, and if you want a conversation going, you have to click that on. And also there is a discussion at the top if you want to do an overall discussion or have any comment there. So there's so there's more than one place to add your thoughts and your whatever you may have. So we welcome you all for what you have to offer and to share your wisdom and understanding.
Also, I probably should put on there somewhere the number to call if they want to set an appointment with any of us. That number is 864-999-3008. It is a 24/7 answering service, basically, where you can leave your name and your number and who you'd like to talk to. If you want to talk to Bev, myself, or Royse, just put that in there. And, I know that Royse and Bev do readings. I think they would be happy to do that. You can talk to them about that. These would be remote. I would be happy to do a remote hypnosis session if that's something that you are interested in. But those are things that you can call that number, leave a message for the person you want to call you back, and we will get that, and they will call you back within 24 hours of getting that message. So that's also available for you. Anything else, ladies?
Well, thank you. I think we've covered a lot tonight.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, remember now, let me see, here we are, get my calendar out very shortly here. So we're on the 14th right now. Our next session then will be on July 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're on the same location here. And you can, I think Bev has emailed that out. We'll put that somewhere on the YouTube where you can also see how to call in and get it. But it'll be on the 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if that's it, then I'd like to sign off for everybody and say looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks and with new information. And ladies, would you like to have anything before we sign off?
It's been a pleasure.
It has. Much love to you all, and keep that love in all your focusing. How's that?
Very good.
All right.
All right. Good night,
thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
night.
And have a great 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.